Hello YouTube, welcome back to this AWS project. So in the last video we spoke about the front end and talked about how all this is set up in the infrastructure behind it. Now we're going to dive a bit more into the Lambda functions and the API gateway and also the RDS instance. First off, I'll just like to show you a SQL data that we actually have for querying these football teams. This is actually on my local machine, but I have this also set up in RDS instance in AWS. So firstly, this is the one of the tables which I'm using, and this is selecting the first 1,000 rows, and this goes back to the whole of 1938. So it's got all of the fixtures from the top division of the English Football League. And just to give you an example of one of the queries we are running, so we have the mode score, so the most common score for the teams Manchester United and Liverpool. So if we just execute that, and we can see it comes back with the 0-0 for the full-time result, and that is what we will pass back to the user when they input those values. We then have the result, which is just selecting from this table here where the home team is Arsenal and where the visitor is Manchester United. We're going to order it by result and then just count it. So if we execute that, we can see that the most common result was a home win. So we're just counting the most common result there. The next load of data we have is this is just from the last 2 years. So this is the last 3 years. So this is 2018 and 2019 seasons. And we're using this to get the possession data. So we can see here the home team and the away team possession. Let me just make this a bit bigger. So these two columns here. And the query that we are using, I've just put here. So we're just selecting from that table. We're selecting the home team possession and the away team possession from the table here, where the home team name is Arsenal and the away team name is Manchester United. Again, we will get those values from the user provided on the front end. And if I just execute that, we can see we have the home team possession and the away team possession. So that's the SQL side of things done. I'll just show you my RDS instance in AWS. It's pretty much the smallest instance you can get. So it's is a DB T2 Micro running Microsoft SQL Server Express. And this is just what you can get on the free tier. So if any of you guys are doing dev projects, AWS will actually offer you this for free. So it's pretty much a great way to get started developing projects. Well, I say for free. If you do leave it running, they will charge you a couple of bucks, but as long as you turn it off after you've done using it, it won't cost you anything at all, really. And you can see I've just got a basic security configuration just inbound for the default security group here, and then outbound just allowing it to everything. I have it set up in the default VPC, and then we have a DB access security group just allowing again the default security group, and I have an endpoint here and accessing it via port 1433. So going back to the Lambda functions, like I said in the diagram, we have 3 Lambda functions here, one for the score, one for the result, and one for the possession. And these are set up to take information from the front end through the API gateway and then query the database and return back the results. So let's just look at each of those Lambda functions now. What should we go for first? So the result is pretty much the most simplest one. So we take a look at the event which is passed through the API gateway, which I showed you in the last video. and we take the home team value from event.home, and we can actually see that in the index HTML. Let me just show you that now. So you can see here, this is our event that we're passing, so the home team and the away team. We have our DB config, which is using the environment variables, and I can show you those also now on my Lambda function. Okay, yeah, you can see here, these are my environment variables. I haven't removed anything for security reasons. So we have our DB database here, our DB password, our DB server, and DB username. And those are the values which our Lambda function can access and use. We have a try catch block. So in this try block, we are attempting to make a SQL connection using the config here. And then it will try and make a request with this query, which is the same query I showed you earlier. So we are selecting from this table here for the home team possession and the away team possession from the England Premier League table, where the home team is equal to the home team we get from the event, and the away team is equal to the away team we get from the event. We will then close the connection, and then with the results, we are just going to log it here and then call back null and the result.record set. We'll catch any errors here and also log any SQL errors down here also. So that is the possession Lambda function. Now let me go ahead and show you the score and result. So this is the result. Again, same config, same variables that we're taking for the event. And then we just have another DB query here for this table here, and using the home and the away team, and then grouping them by result and then ordering it by the count. And so we're selecting the result which has the highest count, which in our case was the home result. And then we've just got a bit of logic here stating that if the return result was H for a home win, we're then going to create a message variable here for the home team and then plus win, and then call back that result. And we would do the same if it was an away team win. So we're creating a message with the away team variable, so Arsenal plus win here, and then sending it back to the user through the API gateway. And then the score, same configuration here with the try catch block. And the only difference here is we are grouping by the full time column, so the .ft, and ordering it by count. And then again, we've got a bit more logic here, and that's just logging out the row.ft and then the message. So the message row.ft, that will actually be the score we get back from our query. So in our case, I think it was 2-0 or no, 1-0. So that's what we get back from that DB. I'll go ahead and show you this in the logs to make it a bit more easier to understand. And if any of you guys are looking at troubleshooting your Lambda functions, just know that CloudWatch is pretty much the best place where you can log your errors and view any issues. It will also show permission errors. So if you don't have the correct IAM permission set up, it will show in here. So we can see here the event that was passed to this Lambda function through the API gateway was event home Arsenal, away Liverpool. and then we can see the return result was full-time 1-1. And now if we go to the result Lambda function, we can see we've got a bit more logging going on here. So we're past the same event to this Lambda function. We can see the result was a home win, and we then take that home win here and change that to the team that was passed originally through by the user. So we can see that the home team was Arsenal, and we then pass that to Arsenal win, and then pass it back to the user, and it will then be presented back onto the page. So that's our 3 Lambda functions here that we've configured. And for the API gateways, let me just show you how we configure those. So when we look at the configuration of this Lambda function, we can see that each Lambda function will have a API gateway trigger. And inside there, we can see we've got some triggers down here, and we will be using the post API because we're actually posting the message of the 2 teams to the API, which then gets forwarded on. And it's pretty much the same configuration for all of the Lambda functions. In fact, it's exactly the same. We just have a simple post request, which posts the 2 teams and then invokes the Lambda function. So if we look at our post method and the integration request, we can see here we're using the Lambda region US East 1, and we are invoking the score predictor web score. When you add in this function, it will also set the IAM permissions to allow the API gateway resource ARN to access the Lambda function and be able to invoke it. Once you've set this up here, the only thing left to do is to enable cores for cross-origin resource sharing, and that is if a resource is accessing other resources. So for example, if this resource here is accessing Lambda or accessing S3 or accessing another web page, it will pass the correct cause headers, so the web browser will not block it or throw any security warnings. So once we've enabled cores, the next thing is to deploy the API. And deploying the API, we will be given a deployment stage. I'm just using default, but you should normally use prod, dev, staging, that sort of stuff. So we have our default stage here. And if we go into stages and then default, we can see my score predictor web score and then the post request. And then we have my invoke URL, which will be placed in the JavaScript, which would then be used via the front end. So guys, that brings us to the end of this part of the project. In the next video, we will talk about the CloudFormation templates, which will redeploy and tear down this project within a few clicks, and also the CloudFront distribution, which will hold our images also, and they will be placed in a S3 bucket. All of the code and resources for this project is in the description of this video. Please post any comments, please like the video, and please subscribe.